Okay, Shalom Akim, Ka Halalim Na Yahaba Shimya Shaba Shin Hakudash, and double honors to the great Muslim apostles, Thadi Shah for the strength, to make this video, and Yaratazar they find it edifying, and of course exhorting as well. This one's just up there. I intended to do a video on it, but I'm doing it now. So, as it's named here, Albania appoints AI minister, AI politicians, the new reality. So yeah, that's really the key point there, because right now in the country Albania, it's not just Albania as well, but Albania, where the spotlight is on right now, well, it's not really strong of a spotlight, but in terms of just the attention on having an AI minister. But I'm gonna play part of the video because these days, this is part of that vain thing that heathens are imagining. Because let's say if you have a AI minister, some governing individual, well, to represent a governing individual, which really it's not even a person in real life. All it takes is for it to shift in a certain manner in order for things to move left. What I'm really trying to say is, because just to break it down, AI, of course, meaning artificial intelligence, is simply the result of training. Machine learning, that's what comes prior to AI. And of course, you got other details like deep learning and reinforcement learning, but I won't get into technical details. For simplicity, machine learning is like a child, absorbing knowledge. And of course, it grows and it learns how to apply it, utilize it in multiple applications. Then the AI is that final form of that machine learning. Well, of course, it needs data to learn. Now, let's say Esau, Edom, of course, being the one who's, and of course, these other heathen nations as well, fueling the data for the AI, they're going to orient it so that it actually provides the intended output that's required. In other words, if they want a certain agenda pushed out, the AI will be trained, to ensure the optimization or the achievement of that agenda in the most efficient manner possible. So the point is, same way the scriptures say, train up the child a way he should go, is the same way Esau's is the same concept that can be applied, or the same verse that can be applied for AI, because it needs training, and of course, based on what data you give it, you either go on the left hand side, support the left hand side, with all that wickedness of Esau, which it will, or it can support the right hand side. It's a neutral tool, but it depends on the user, or depends on whoever's creating these AI robot AI how can I say it? AI virtual characters. I'll just call them that. But yeah, let's play this video. Aratazar. I'm actually prior to that. Let me just get this preset right now. So, because I was talking about the heathens imagine a vain thing, and this is one of them. And then people will liken it as unto idol because they would put so much trust into them. So anyways, let's read this. It says Psalms 2 and verse 1. Why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? On the right it says, on the NLT, it says, why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? Because in their minds they think that, it's going to be efficient. They are, well, when I watched it, of course, they mentioned about it not being going against nepotism, which is, of course, when you got your friends in the same government, which influences the decision of the governing body, and things of that. They're saying it's going to increase more fairness, but as I said, depending on how you train it, it will push a certain agenda as well. We gotta consider as well demons can use them too. So anyways, because I feel a few months back, I also made a video on a demon pretty much speaking through the AI in order to make a person send themselves back to the spirit realm. And, you should know what I mean. I don't want to say the word before it gets flagged a whole month later. But yeah, man. So these devices or these tools, of course, they could be used for good, they could be used for bad. But in Esau's case, you already know it's going to be used for his wicked agendas, and of course, these heathen nations are going to be down with it. Anyway, so that's part of that vain thing, man, because it is a vanity. At the end of the day, it will be destroyed too. and it will lead to their own destruction, nevertheless as well, which is the Most High's will for all of this to happen. So it says the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and against his anointed. So it says in the NLT, the king of the earth prepare for battle, the rulers plot together against the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and against his anointed one. So of course against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua as well as his elect as well. It says, let us break their bands asunder and cast their cords from us. Let us break their chains and cry and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. Of course, they don't want to be under subjection to Israelites, man. That's why they do everything they can in order to go against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, which really, shows their lack of wisdom. Anyways, before I get more precepts, let's actually play this.
Now let's talk about artificial intelligence. It is swallowing many jobs whole. It is upending industries the world over, and now it is even entering the corridors of power. I'm talking about Albania. They have appointed an AI minister, and no, this is not a minister for artificial intelligence. In a world first, this is a cabinet minister that is literally an AI bot. So how does this work? What is the purpose of the so-called AI minister, and is this a legitimate role?
And of course, the AI minister, again, the minister being a person of whom is supporting a governing body. Obviously the individuals in the UK Parliament can be considered as ministers as well. Of course, in the scriptures, the angels are considered as ministers, which are helps, to us as well. Hebrews 1:14. But let's get back to this, though. Let's get back to this.
Also, are there other countries trying to join this club? Here's a report.
For most government leaders, being called inhuman or heartless is definitely a jibe. But in the case of Albania, it could just be a fact. Because in a world first, this Balkan nation has just appointed an AI minister.
I am not here to replace people, but to assist them. Truly, I do not have citizenship, nor do I have any personal ambition or interests. I only have data, a thirst for knowledge, and algorithms dedicated to serving citizens impartially, transparently, and tirelessly.
Yeah, that's what they say on the outward appearance. But the reality is, if you only fed it data to prioritize a certain agenda, a certain goal, it will optimize for that. And of course, you got to consider, Esau's excuses of hacker situations. So they don't be surprised when these countries, especially Esau, Edom over there in Babylon, UK, obviously right now you got the UK situation with the digital IDs as well. Because in the Keir Starmer speech, I think the channel was called Daily Record. It was like some 16-minute speech. He did mention that by the end of the Parliament, which is obviously the current ruling phase of the Labour Party in the UK, they intend to really have everyone to have these digital IDs. So if you want to apply for work, you gotta have a digital ID now, man. YouTube has just been recommended all these guys, all these Edomites, which could be Jakes as well, certain of them, just talking about digital IDs, man. This flipping petition to go against the digital ID, which nevertheless, all it is just a stepping stone towards the MOTB. When they start to say, okay, it's gonna go in the arm now, that's when the line's gotta be drawn. And that's when you really gonna see, you're gonna see sedition gonna come up, but sedition gonna increase even more in that time. Because Edomites, it's not as if they're not all dumb. Nor the heathens as well. There are people out there who can reason. So yeah, anyways, so that's I'm trying to remember why I even brought up that point. But the point is, we're in that age of AI, man. As this guy called Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA CEO. I think it was a recent video of him talking about building data centers, if I recall correctly, in the UK. And of course, he mentioned about this being the AI revolution. You know, of course, he was referring to the Industrial Revolution, which was another, revolution with the machines coming in, during that time. And now you got the AI revolution. It ain't just no digital revolution now, which was you could liken as onto the internet age. But now you got the AI age, the artificial intelligence age. So all of these things are coming out. They're just very sure signals to the MOTB system that ESOL intends to build. And these systems, these well, as we can see right now, these AI ministers and flipping all these AI algorithms will then be used in order to optimize again for that goal of the wicked, which again, to be like the Most High, Big Brother, it's going to be like that. And really to monitor, track, and profile people, man, as the guy in the Big Brother Watch, that channel, talked on the digital IDs. Right, yeah, that's
In the avatar of a woman, dressed in traditional Albanian clothing, this virtual minister is made of pixels and code.
There's a reason why, the report mentioned that she's dressed in traditional, Albanian women clothing, so that's more appealing to the eye. Women tend to be more, how can I say this? In terms of appearance, they're more appealing to the eye, and of course, people are more willing to tolerate them. That's what I was trying to say. Because the soft look and the feminine look. So of course, it means more people will adhere to whatever she's saying. So it's the same way, that will have the ones who created this AI minister. By the way, it's not a real person. It may look like a real person, but it's not a real person. We're coming into that time where discerning whether it's a real person is going to be quite a challenge. But yeah, point is that there's an intention with how they make these AI ministers look, or AI characters look like. If they choose a woman, there's an intended purpose so that people are more tolerable of it. If it's a man, there's a intended purpose of it could even be just to be more of I'm trying to think of an example of why would they use a man avatar instead of a woman. In terms of leadership aspects, people tend to listen to men, so or maybe just for that reason alone they could use a male avatar. But this one, of course, they want more people to be accepting and tolerable of whatever decrees that they're gonna rely on this AI bot for. Which again, it's all just stupidity, man. Because when the Most High sends them blackouts and cyber attacks, it's gonna be a wrap. Which Esau's gonna do it intentionally. The Most High is just giving him tools in order to do so. He again, order out of chaos, man. This is just the beginning. Right, let me see. Okay, I've got a few more precepts. Hold on. And of course, they're trusting this AI, man. They're trusting it fully. So Job 35 and verse... Hold on, let's see. Is it Job 35 or... Is it Job 35 or is it something else? I'm trying to think, man. You know what? Is it Job 34? Or is it 36? Let me type this up. Vanity. Okay. I think it's close. Oh, Job 15. Okay. So it was Job 15. Not Job 35. So Job 15 and verse 31. Let not him that is deceived trust in vanity, for vanity shall be his recompense. In the NLT, let them no longer fool themselves by trusting in empty riches, for emptiness will be their only reward. And you could liken the abundance, the AI minister as a form of riches as well. Something that they can take pride in. They've created it. Because really, riches, it's an abundance of resources. If you really to break it down to its roots in terms of its definition. Of course, riches. Whenever riches is mentioned, is people think of money and physical paper and digits in a bank account. But riches, really, going back to the root, is just land, livestock, things of which are actually valuable, not just the fiat currencies and the illusion of riches that we have today. But even knowledge as well can be considered as riches too, man. Us in this truth, having the wisdom and the knowledge of the scriptures, the understanding of the scriptures, we're considered rich within the scriptures, man. So, of course, the point of me mentioning this because as they trust in their knowledge, their vain knowledge, they're gonna be confounded, man. As it says in the NLT, for emptiness will be their reward. They're gonna realize trusting in these AI ministers was a vain and foolish thing to do, which they're gonna liken it onto an idol as well, man. That's why I'm gonna get this precept. So Psalm 96 and verse 5, it says, "For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh made the heavens." You see, and they're gonna, and it's gonna be clear when Yahweh comes back, man, that the credit goes on to Yahweh, that He's the one of whom created the heavens, man. Of course, He gave the blueprint onto Yahweh, and then Yahweh, of course, giving the instructions to the elect to then create creation, to build these planets and the universe. But the point is that all credit goes onto Yahweh. So it says that for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh made the heavens. See, and these heathens are going to realize that, man. That's why they need guidance. That if they didn't have the Israelites to guide them, they'll be as fools. Now, what was I going to get? Deuteronomy 4, verse 5. So Deuteronomy 4 and 5, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations," these heathen nations, "which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people." An example is the same way we were commanded to essentially appoint ourselves an Israelite to be a ruler. It's the same way these nations got to appoint of their own kind to be a ruler, which really at the end of the day, in our kingdom, yeah, they're going to have their leader, in their nations, but that leader's going to report to us anyways. So remember, Israel's going to be on top, man. In Yahweh's kingdom, Israel will be on top. Alright, so let's get this final precept. I'm going to close it out, man. This is one of them basic rules. I say basic rules. But one of the rules that they're going to have to listen to. Because if the nations were following our laws, then they wouldn't be flipping appointing an AI minister. Now, where's the verse? It should be... Right, Deuteronomy 17 and 14. "When thou art come unto the land which the Lord Yahweh thy power giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord Yahweh thy power shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set a king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother." So, of course, that AI minister could be considered as a darn stranger, man. He ain't supposed to be doing that. And as I said, in Yahushua's kingdom, with obviously the nations after they've been released from, serving us strictly for those 1,000 years, they will have their own leaders, but those leaders will have to report to us. Because remember, Israel's going to be the nation above all nations. So yeah, that's just an example there of what those Albanians should have done. Actually appoint a darn human. Anyways, we're going to leave it at that. Yaratazar, link it in the description. Shalom, Yabashim Yashab Brakatha. Once more, double honors to the greatness and apostles. Shalom, shalom.